So our work in Ireland focuses on, climate legislation and clean energy policies. And here in Ireland, sometimes we think, oh, we're so small, we don't matter so much. Why does it matter what we are doing in terms of climate change? That's such a global issue. But we're actually the top 4th polluter per person in Europe, and far higher per person polluting than in much larger countries such as India and Brazil. And as one of the world's most industrialized countries, we believe we were therefore benefiters of fossil fuels, and we therefore believe that we have a moral responsibility to act on climate change, as it is those who are least responsible for climate change who are actually facing the burden of the issue at the moment. So this is a big year globally, and I think you've already talked about Sustainable Development Goals and how important they are coming up, being defined this year. And it's also a big year for environmental issues. In 2010, world leaders came together to negotiate on climate change issues and what we should agree to as a sort of a global agreement. And they didn't have much success in that, but what they did say is that the global temperature should not increase more than 2 degrees. And unfortunately, we are on track to increase by 4 degrees. So that's quite shocking, and I know it's difficult to think about temperature rise when it's winter and it's freezing outside, but anything more than 2 degrees, of us warming 2 degrees, is seen as extremely dangerous. And we've already, since 2010, we've increased by 0.8 degrees overall. And it's been said that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make change on this. So it's our last chance, really, to make to be able to change this and make a difference before it actually gets too worse, that we're not able to do anything about it. And in December then of this year, countries will be coming together again to try and negotiate having targets to cut our carbon emissions by, and to agree to doing that and to committing to doing that, which is very difficult if you think of lots of different countries coming together. But that is what needs to be done in order for us to actually be able to keep humanity going, really. It's really important that we stay below the 2 degrees. So how do young people fit into this? We believe that because these global negotiations with our global leaders have failed, really, that we can't just rely on this. We need to be mobilizing local people in our local areas, in communities, in schools, in our colleges. And we believe that the large-scale change that is needed to combat climate change is not possible without the organisation and mobilising of young people. So my work is primarily with Young Friends of the Earth. We work with college students and other activists to involve them in actions that they wouldn't be able to do alone. It's very hard to do something as an individual, but when you have support of a network behind you, of people all across Ireland, of like-minded people who all believe in sustainable development, then lots of things are possible. And we do lots of fun activities and work with people of all different skills and interests. This just shows some of the things that we've done. We've dressed up as penguins and done a march. We've done things with graffiti during green weeks in colleges. We've trained up people in how to talk about climate issues and to understand those issues a bit more in their colleges. And we've done protests and things in the streets. And one of our main campaigns that we did last year was the Politics for People campaign, when we invited candidates standing for the European elections last year to an environmental hustings and asked them to address some key environmental concerns, such as genetically modified foods and biodiversity. And we got students involved. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but it's a peasant and a vulture. And so the vulture was to demonstrate the play power between politics and the citizens. So the peasant being the citizens, and the vulture being sort of the politics, and that we weren't getting a say in what politicians say on our behalf. And so it's politics for people and saying what we want our politicians to represent us on. And Young Friends of the Earth is just such a great organisation to get involved in, because for this to happen, we needed people who were creative, people who could do modelling skills. We involved societies in colleges in this. And, we had people doing food for it, people who were interested in baking, photography, lots of different skills and interests of people. So whatever you're interested in, there's definitely a place for you in Young Friends of the Earth. And a campaign that we run every year is a competition to go along to the mobilization at the end of the year when the UN climate talks are happening, and this year is in Paris. And it's come together with lots of European groups, and to do that, we want you to mobilize in your local area and to spread the word of environmental issues and awareness. And we help you do that, and we do mobilizations and actions throughout the year, and then it leads up to this trip at the end of the year. So it's a great thing for young people to be involved in. It's a way to have your voice heard. We do it in a very fun way, like you saw from us dressing up as penguins and different things. We're a very approachable group. We don't claim to be experts in anything or have expert knowledge or anything. We're learning from each other. And whatever your skills and interests, there's definitely a place for you. And then something that we have coming up on the 13th, well, we're doing an action on the 14th of February, but it's a global divestment day. It's about companies invest in fossil fuels, governments invest in fossil fuel industries, and it's about making sure that our money that they're investing is not going into these dirty energy industries. And so we are having an action, it's happening all over the world, but we are having an action in Dublin. We would love for young people or any age to join us. We'll be doing an action outside the IFSC at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Ireland is very, very dependent on fossil fuels, and that needs to change, really. For us to stay below the 2 degrees of global warming that I talked about before, we need to make sure that half to 3/4 of the fossil fuels that are in the ground stay in the ground. So we can't continue to burn more and more fossil fuels and be able to stay below that 2-degree limit. So it's very important that we stop supporting these companies, investing in these companies, and giving them the money to keep doing this, because we just won't survive, really. It's unsustainable practice. So please contact me, speak to me at the end if you would like more information on this. And it would be great, I think, if we were all saying we are all the Philippines or we are all Tuvalu, because those island countries are the ones that are being affected by this at this very moment, and we need to all act together to make sure that we are doing our part against that. As an industrialized country, we should be playing our role in making sure that we are doing something about climate change. And it starts with the smaller actions, but it involves being part of a group, being part of a network, and that's what Young Friends of the Earth offers you. So thank you very much for listening. Please do contact us or speak to me at the end if you're interested in getting involved. And just to say that there is an event happening this evening from a Philippines activist, and it's happening in Buswell's Hotel at 6:30. But before that, people are meeting their TDs in the hotel, and so it would be great if you could come along and see if your TD is there or speak to a TD about how this issue is important to you. So thank you very much.